Ecstatic Bliss. Secrets to living a juicy life. No matter how lost you feel, looping in the void, not knowing where the next steps are leading or what to do, what to say, where you are, who you are, your soul has a plan. No matter how lost your human self feels, your soul has a plan. And this, almost like an affirmation or mantra, was accompanying me last year especially. I don't know, but my soul has a plan. That was kind of like a soothing statement I repetitively had in my mind whenever I felt like, this is strange, I have no solution, I have no answer right now, but I'm sure my soul thought something about it, and I'm trusting that now. What happens with this sentence is that it activates more your surrendering into what is, or at least accepting it. Because, to be honest, we all know when we try to figure something out that is not to be figured out at the moment, we can analyze and won't still find a solution, obviously, because it's not meant to be figured out right now. And so mental confusion is often actually a result of overanalyzation when there is currently no result or solution meant to be. Life follows a certain pattern and rhythm, and how I see it is that your soul that orchestrates through the divine in a way, your life path drops certain hints, keys, clues, information, and reveals certain new further steps ahead on your path, and the ideas also, whatever comes to you as a sudden insight, for example, that it drops that in the exact right moment when it is meant to be. And that often depends on your readiness, on some things to be learned, integrated, your growth, your understanding of the world, of yourself. So certain factors may influence that. But usually there is a timing from a human perspective when the soul drops these new hints. And obviously, if it's not the time to know, it's just not the time to know. And the human mind, the ego self, yes, of course, wants control, wants to know everything what is ahead. And that causes friction between the all-knowing soul that has these drops of hints and information at a certain specific divine time, and your human mind trying to figure everything out and control situations and your life path. But if we are honest, we intrinsically actually know, when we can access that level, that this life is about a game unfolding in a sometimes paradoxical and also mystical way. That it is not meant to be understood completely, because otherwise, why playing the game? The game is played to be a little bit like a detective in life and see where it goes. Obviously also have your goals, if you wish, your dreams, but usually they're actually tied to anyways your soul's path and what it wanted to experience and grow through. So control versus the orchestration. Control is mind, is ego, is human self, and orchestration, divine timing, and expansive intelligence, we can also say, is a soul. The divine that runs through the soul, down, in quotation marks down, metaphorically seen, towards the human self. And remember, your soul has a plan. This affirmation, this mantra, helps, I feel, at least it helped me, that's why I wanted to share it today, a lot in uncertain times, in times where I even questioned my own self, in how I how I have processed or learned already what I have learned. And what I mean by that is usually if you're very aware of your self and very self-reflective, very driven to improve in a way or to live up to your potential because you know there's more inside of you and you want to unleash it. The more you are this type of person, the more you will start usually questioning yourself if you are hitting a black mirror or like a wall where you cannot see further. And when that happens, then it is this, again, the term of surrendering, trust and surrender. So this mantra has, the potential even to carry you through the most nebulous times, I would say, because it is actually also a relief for your nervous system to feel into, there's something higher at place, a higher intelligence, a higher orchestration that I can relax into. That I don't have to be always on the guard, always analyzing, always figuring out my next step, always being upfront and maybe even, asking yourself, what am I missing? What am I not seeing? Why am I not further? Why I am currently in this situation or so forth. So that there's a relief inside of you, a relaxation, a leaning back maybe even more. Because also we have to understand that there are phases of movement, forward movement, phases of building momentum for this movement, and before that, the phase of stillstand or perceived stillstand, which is actually a preparation phase and often also integration phase. A little bit like the seasons. We have seasons that are, at least in certain parts of the world, or even, even in countries where you have at least the rain season and the sunny season. We have also different seasons in our life that are reflected in the perceived stillstand, which is preparation and integration, the building momentum, and the movement, the action, the aligned action. So sometimes that means even there's nothing to do right now. And I know a lot of us have been trained to be productive, to see just being and relaxing and just closing your eyes and be in the moment, absorbing the moment is something you feel guilty of. So it may, at the beginning, depending where you stand right now, feel a little bit off to just be, to not do, to not be productive, to not have something in your hands or see visibly or whichever sense you are attuned to not have something tangible manifested in your life through your doing, but just be. In these phases of, I don't know right now, I don't have any answers, I feel in this void state, nebulous about what's coming next. This is also an invitation for you to just be and vibrate and perceive and breathe and sit still in that very moment. Sometimes even just by being in that very moment, new solutions, next steps reveal. Sometimes we are not in a phase or not in a longer term permanent, is never permanent. A longer term phase of stillstand, that's never the case. Sometimes it is about forcing you into a pause to not overreact or take actions because of past experiences or because of fear mechanisms or ego, but to sit with yourself first and really be in alignment with your soul, with your essence, with your heart, and then take inspired, aligned action according to that. We can see so that remember, your soul has a plan is always a means for you to return to truth, to return to what is truly alive behind the storyline you're currently living or imagining or finding yourself in an illusion in. What is truly beyond that? Your soul has a plan. you don't always have to have a plan on a human level. That is always also meant by that. And what it gives space to, as I already said, is the beingness, the breathing in the moment, the just being curious about life, the relaxation, the surrender, the trust, maybe even being taken care of like a child that has not to have everything figured out, but that it has space to actually enjoy experiencing life. That also gives you space to loosen a little bit of responsibility. Especially if you're a high achiever, first mover, constantly active in your mind or in doing in life, that some of this responsibility is put away from your shoulders, this backpack you are carrying with you through your life, by acknowledging my soul has a lot in its hands that I cannot see, that are even played out behind the scenes, and even without me consciously being aware of it or doing something, like body functions and even internal shifts of your emotional state or phases of your life. If you're truly in sync with your soul and can tune into the subtleties, you will actually notice that any idea that is not forced, any inspiration, any creativity that is meeting you in the heart, and in a way also something that drives you, that excites you, that's not you. That's a divine spark igniting inside of you. And that doesn't come through control or effort or pressure. It comes when you are just in the state of flowing, in the state of effortlessness, and the state of ease and peace and grace. More yin qualities, feminine qualities. Your soul has a plan, and you can trust that. That is maybe a learning for you right now if you find yourself in situations where you want to find answers. And it is okay to want to find answers, because yes, sometimes that's a paradox. Sometimes it is asking you, sit down and find the answers in the stillness of your own being. And sometimes it's not meant to be right now, and to be okay with that. I feel also the time quality is more and more getting us, pressing us, pushing us into the state of, all right, I'm here, the human avatar, carrying out the instructions of my higher self that is connected with my soul. And I just listen actively, with intention sometimes, with just sitting with it, with your soul, and see what information comes through, not from your mind, but from a more subtle layer. And it's also a training, obviously, because I feel some people are too much in their mind that they don't access this higher level of soul information. And how I see it is that you have information in your mind, which is oftentimes a repetition of information you have been conditioned to, of experiences from the past, the constructs you've built, the categorizations in your head, the labels, the namings, the boxes, the reasoning, the analysis, and things like, what do I eat next? What do I have to do next? What did I do 2 years ago? This is like the logical level, but beyond that, above that, if we see it in a hierarchy, above that is your soul intelligence. And that is translated by the higher self. Yeah, so in a way it's the soul, the higher self, not the higher version of you, what I mean, but the higher self as an interface, as a gateway between your soul that runs more on energy and pulsation, vibration, frequency. And then the higher self as a gateway that translates these impulses into information that your mind can process and translate, and then act upon in this human avatar. That's how I see it. And if you are trusting that, if you are open to see that you are in a more complex way, in a way, operating in a more complex way, then you can just ease into the knowingness of, yeah, I get the messages when they are meant to drop into me. I receive new information when it's meant to be. And if not, I'm just living my life. I'm just experiencing, exploring, playing, enjoying. That relieves so much pressure. So much pressure of the doing, the knowing, and the having it all figured out. You don't have to. This is a time when we are coming back to soul intelligence. And soul intelligence doesn't always make sense, is not always logical from our mind, but it has far more wisdom. So if you also have drops of do this or don't do this or whatever comes as a insight, as a channeling even, it may not make sense, but if you know, this comes from this higher intelligence of my soul, I'm now acting upon it. And that is your trust that is needed, your surrender to it, and acting in alignment with your soul instead of in alignment with the perceived illusion of your mind. So next time you find yourself in any situation where you feel you seek clarity, your mind wants control, remember your soul has a plan and you can trust that. So much love and bliss. Soraya Ananda. If you feel the deep pull to walk this spiral more intimately, Soulgasm, my 6-month one-on-one sacred mentoring awaits you. This is a living embodiment of all I transmit here, but uniquely decoded for your soul. Enter the portal of ecstatic bliss and unleash your personal soulgasmic reality. All details and the link to book your vibrational match call are in the show notes.